starved on purpose. This is not a war. This is a genocide. Make no two ways about it. This is deliberate starvation for the people of Gaza. The world may be silent, but those who care about human rights, those who care for innocent people, irrespective of their race, irrespective of their religion, irrespective of the color of their skin, they care for humanity. Chester Friends of Palestine and those who stand alongside the Palestinian people are not anti-Semitic. We are not enemies of Israel. We stand shoulder to shoulder with every human being. As I said, irrespective of the race, religion, this is about humanity. How can we stand? How can we be quiet when children, women, babies are being starved to death? On my right, you can see a child a mother's holding, maybe less than 1 year. And then at the front, we have two children there. Imagine, just imagine them being starved to death. The horror facing the Palestinian people. The mothers unable to feed their children. How does that make feel us? How can we be silent? How can the world be silent? How can our government, the British government, be complicit in this genocide? We have to stand with the people of Gaza, and we have to demand our British government to pressurize Israel to open the borders and let the aid agency, United Nations aid agency, flow into Gaza to help the malnourished, to help the mothers feed their children. As I said before, this is about humanity, and we stand with the people of Gaza. So thank you all for coming out in solidarity with the people of Gaza. Free, free!
Palestine!
Free, free!
Palestine!
Free, free!
Palestine!
This is not a war, this is a genocide. Thank you.
name's Karina. I don't have anything prepared. Mohammed just asked me to say a few words, so I'll try my best. I'll try and not cry. I first stood outside this town hall in November of 2023. Nearly 2 years ago, and people came for a candlelit vigil to protest what was happening. We knew it was bad, we knew it was going to be bad. I don't think anybody could have imagined where we would be now, 668 days later. This has become all-consuming for many people, looking at the images and seeing what's going on, not just in Gaza, but in the West Bank, in occupied Palestine, for all of the people that just want to live their lives in peace. The Western media will paint pictures of the people that live in Gaza, that live in the West Bank, about Arabs and Muslims, but nobody, whatever your beliefs of other people that you don't know or understand are, nothing is deserving of what is being inflicted upon those people. The images we see now are the images you would expect from borders that have been closed since March. Just imagine if Chester's walls were shut since March, nothing getting in, not even just nothing getting in, people on the other side of those walls purposefully destroying and preventing aid and support to the most vulnerable people. I urge you to not just show up and do this. This is brilliant, especially somewhere small where it's easy to just get on with our day-to-day lives, but share with your friends and your family and your colleagues. Unbelievably, there may be people that still don't know or don't understand what is happening. It is our job to share and tell and inform. They will not get this information from the news. They will not get this information from Western governments. Keir Starmer has blood on his hands. He is complicit in the starving of the Palestinian people. I urge you to just look at the double standards, to look at how things are framed differently. Hostages, prisoners, terrorists, victims. I urge you to just take some time to listen and think. No matter anyone's crime, what is happening to entire families, children, mothers, fathers, grandparents is inhumane. We will lose our humanity if you do not stand up. The people in Gaza are reaching a point of no return. The privilege we have here, we must use that privilege to share with everybody, to use every ounce of our energy to draw attention, to try and help, to hound our MPs and our government. Please just do everything you can. And the most powerful thing you can do if you feel powerless now is to boycott. Your money is the biggest power that you hold. Barclays is right there. Do not bank with Barclays. They invest in weapons manufacturing in the war machine. I urge you to close your account if you have a Barclays account. Do not shop at Next. Do not shop at the large corporations. Do not buy McDonald's. They give free food to IOF soldiers. Free meals for people that are starving others. We can put ourselves in the mildest form of discomfort to make a really big difference. You don't need a Mackey's. You don't need Nestle, you don't need Procter & Gamble, you don't need to buy Ariel. These are things that we can all do. Actual change that will have a massive effect. Free Palestine!
To stop the war that's going on in Gaza and to make sure that the aid supplies get through. And I think it is important to get across the full horror of what is going on. 60,000 people killed in Gaza, 18,000 children. That's the same as a classroom of children killed every day for 655 days. They are the innocent victims of this situation. And we really do need to make people aware, because, as has been said, the mainstream media doesn't really get the full picture across. You really have to struggle to find some of the issues that are going on. We probably all know that over 1,000 people have been killed just trying to queue to get aid. 1,000 people. I watched a video last night of a former USA Green Beret who said that the soldiers were just indiscriminately killing people. He said he watched a tank fire a shell into a crowd of people waiting for aid. We know they use quadcopters, and the fact that 1,000 people just trying to get aid have been killed is absolutely disgraceful. They talk about enough food going into Gaza, but if you have 4 distribution points where the strongest can grab whatever they can, then they will. The weak, the immobile, the elderly, they'll get nothing. That's the complete setup that the Israeli government and the Americans have imposed on the situation. The other day, they even tried to have a day where only women could collect food from one of the food distribution points, and they still ended up shooting people. That's how bad things have got. We really don't get the full picture of the things that are going on. The United Nations reported the other day that 15 doctors and nurses had been assassinated by the Israeli armed forces. Most of them were killed by missiles while they were in their flats. They were at home in their flat, and a missile took out the flat and killed them and their families. 10 doctors, 5 nurses wiped out with their families by the government. We know 170 journalists have been killed in Gaza, and we know that's not just accidental. Many of those have been targeted by drones and quadcopters, are deliberately attacked to stop the information getting out there. I think Karima said before about getting the message through to our elected representatives. We were here the other day when there was a council meeting on, because for all the time that this has been going on in Gaza, our council have said nothing. This is Chester City, a sanctuary, but there's no sanctuary for the people of Gaza, and there's no voice being raised to support them. And the same goes for our MPs. It seems to be business as usual for a lot of the government. Many of the exports carry on. The other day, the head of the Israeli Air Force, the person responsible for all the bombing in Gaza, was here on a visit to meet with our Air Force. When Israel illegally bombed Iran, we sent tanker planes and jets to Cyprus in case we needed to help them. That's our government. And then yesterday we had Keir Starmer doing his great statesman thing on the television, saying how he would be organising airdrops. Airdrops are not the answer. We need to get the lorries of aid in, and those lorries need to be protected to food distribution points. They talk about the collapse in the ceasefire talks. One of the key demands of the Palestinians in the ceasefire talks was that they should return to aid distribution via the NGOs, via the United Nations, because the current system wasn't working. But Israel didn't want to agree that, so that was one of the reasons the talks failed. We have to look at the demands that we put on our MPs. Again, Keir Starmer announced very triumphantly yesterday that we will now take sick children from Gaza, children with cancer or maybe wounded in the fighting. We know that Gaza has the highest rate of child amputations in the world. Keir Starmer said we will take Palestinian children. Now that's nearly 2 years after this conflict started. So far, 2 children have been allowed into this country during the war, while other countries have taken many more. So it's no great announcement that we will be taking children. We should have been doing that for a long time. Getting that aid in really does matter. Again, if you watch on the television, sometimes you see interviews with doctors there and the terrible situation. One of the worst ones was a surgeon who talked about his American colleagues who arrived with containers of child formula, milk for babies. They thought they could bring it in with their hand luggage because there wasn't any available. The Israeli government confiscated it. They wouldn't allow them to take in formula to feed children. That's the sort of situation that we're dealing with, a really hard-hearted army that's there killing people almost indiscriminately. We know that every university, pretty well every school, certainly most of the mosques, churches, have all been destroyed. The whole place has been laid waste. When we talk to our MPs, we need to say they need not just to write letters of condemnation, they need to take action now. That means banning exports of anything that supports the Israeli government in the conflict, banning all weapons exports, including the parts for the F-35 jets that are raining bombs on Gaza. They need to sanction Israeli ministers. The government in Israel is dictated to by a handful of ethno-nationalist, right-wing, neo-fascists who openly hate Palestinians and say that they will take all of the area, the whole of the West Bank and Gaza, to make it part of Israel. In fact, the Israeli parliament 2 or 3 days ago passed an indicative motion, not a binding one, in which something like 73 to 18 MPs there voted that they should annex the West Bank, that they should take total control of the West Bank. That occupied territory has been suffering just as much as Gaza in many ways. 1,000 people have been killed in the West Bank since October 23. 1,000 people. There's no war in the West Bank, but 1,000 people have been killed. So we really need to get the message through to our government. We need sanctions on Israeli ministers. We need sanctions on those settlers who are stealing the land from the Palestinians every day. They're driving them off their land. They walk in with guns, with impunity. If anyone tries to resist them, the army turn up and take the side of the settlers. They're driving the Palestinians off their land, and we can't allow that to go on. The final thing I'd say is the big issue over the next day is going to be over the recognition of Palestine. Now, we need to press MPs to sign the letter which says this government should recognise Palestine. It's only a symbolic act, but it's an important act. It's showing that we won't allow Palestine to be wiped off the map and taken over by Israel. It's about defending the right of a Palestinian state. So press your MPs to do that, to sign the letter, and let's make sure this government recognises Palestine. Thanks to everyone for coming along.
Hey, hey!
Palestine!
Round of warm welcome to Paul, please.
Hello friends. Talking about something local to us that involves Palestine, our local MP, Sam Dixon, who was elected here just a little over a year ago with a massive majority, is a whip for this Labour government. So every action that this government rejects for the people of Palestine, every action that we take that is pro-Israeli, is not just voted for by Sam. She strong arms and bullies MPs who have more of a conscience into doing it. Luckily, some of them have left. So there's things we can do here by writing to our MP and telling her what we think of Starmer's government and what they've done in being complicit with the genocide. We need Sam to recognise that what's happening in Gaza is a genocide. Our official numbers for Gaza are around 60,000 people dead now. The real number of that is going to be way higher when we start to remove the rubble. If we imagine about 70,000 people live in Chester, so in the last 2 years, there'd be 10,000 of us left. We'd killed 60,000, flattened every building, every church, every doctor's surgery, every school, university. All these things would be gone, and all the people in it would be dead. And those that and then the countless casualties, the wounded. We can do something. We have to use political pressure against them. The Green Party has condemned this as a genocide from the very start. We think the British government should recognise Palestine, as the vast majority of countries do. Somebody just accused this of being anti-Semitic. It's absolutely nothing to do with being anti-Semitic. 60% of all Hamas fighters, we don't support Hamas, are orphans. How many Hamas fighters do you think this genocide is breeding for the futures? Is this how we're going to get peace? By killing children, killing innocent people? It's absolutely, and they will say October the 7th, and of course we condone what happened on October the 7th. It was a crime, but it didn't happen on its own. The oppression of the Palestinian people has been going on for over 70 years. 70 years. This Israeli government is an ethno-nationalist. They are ethnically cleansing and committing a genocide in Gaza and the West Bank. We're supposed to be civilised countries. We cannot recognise this, and we have to pressure all our elected representatives to speak up. Cheshire West and Chester Council have said nothing on the subject. Nothing. We need them to recognise a genocide and recognise the Palestinians' right to exist. Thanks, friends. In our thousands, in our millions. Whoa, Palestinians. In our thousands, in our millions.
Palestinians!
Thank you. I'd like to I invited Councillor Jimmy Shannon from the Socialist Party, who is a councillor of Cheshire West and Chester Council. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it today, but he wrote a speech which I'd like to share with you all. So this is from Councillor Jimmy Shannon. First of all, I'd like to show my solidarity with you all. Thank you each and every one of you who is out here today supporting the plight of the Palestinian people. This is far too important to ignore. Each day, the images we are seeing are getting worse. We've all watched this genocide happen in real time, and so has the Labour government. The Labour government that stated in their manifesto that they would recognise the state of Palestine if and when elected into government. This government must recognize the state of Palestine. Dead children are dead children. It doesn't matter how we look at it. The need for humanitarian aid is beyond the word need now, and although these are just words, the standing together in solidarity that we're seeing here today is a show of strength in the name of Palestinians. We could talk all day on this, I'm sure, but I'm writing this today as an independent councillor on Cheshire West and Chester Council, and I want to implore you all to keep doing what you're doing. To write to your councillor and your MP, ask them from the bottom of their heart to tell the truth. What are they doing to ensure the government stands by their manifesto that they were elected on? What are they doing to stop the sales of arms to Israel? This government is complicit in this genocide. They have blood on their hands, and we must fight on it. We must fight on in the name of Palestine. In our thousands, in our millions, we are all Palestinians. Thank you.